Dream Diary, The Song of the Glowing Trees, April 13th, 2021. It was night and I stepped out of a bus in Berlin. There was a strange mood of the people in the street. I can't say how exactly, just weird. Like you would expect from a party at the end of the world. Dancing, drunken strangers try to hug me or dance with me. I myself felt solemn and in inner peace. I walked and drove around to visit some places of importance in this life here in Berlin. But as time progressed and the further in the past laying places I visited, the more hollow they looked, more and more like fake a theatre stage. The voices of the parting people faded a bit, and at the same time all of the city and the world began slowly to change, looking like a fake, flat world just made of paper mache, white paper mache houses flat against a giant black background. And then the earth faded and I found myself in what I can only describe as a huge weird office room. High-tech machines and cables, weird computer desks everywhere. I tried to make sense with the machines when an elderly overweight lady approached and in a frustrated voice said, "Lad, you are operating it all wrong." She looked like an enormous hag or an ancient goddess. Then she paused. "Oh, it is you. Okay, it was some time since you went through here the other way, eh? So, lady, let me make it for you." And while she operated the machine, I noticed my hands. Now, if you have any idea of inducing lucid dreaming, training to see your hands in dream is help you to know that you are dreaming as one of the trigger methods, so I knew I was in a dream. I saw my real human hands, I saw them in great detail. I felt ecstatic about that, since seeing your hand in dreams is a rare thing. Anyhow, as the old lady used some devices, my hands began to change. From the white human skin back to the dark skin of my old self, Elikal. And when I looked down on myself, I saw that I was in a dark blue overall, looking like a mix of a sports clothing and military clothing. I touched my now again pointy ears. I pulled down a lock of my black hair in front of my eyes, and I looked down and was astonished how slim I was, even thin. I wasn't aware other bodies were that thin. "Now go through the gate here," she said kindly. "They are waiting. I am glad finally to see you go back. Good luck," she said, and I stepped through a large oval gate of golden light. On the other side I was in a forest and it was night. I stood at the root of an enormous tree, and literally hundreds of Adalas stood there, all crying happy for my return, and I felt overwhelmed. I jumped around in sheer happiness, hugging them all, my father, my brothers, and all of my family who were waiting here. Then my father, Sharatan, approached me and said, "It is a day of great meaning. Since you return home at the festival of the Aranduril, the song of the glowing trees." I remembered. The great forest of Edan has a grove of giant trees called the Aranduri, the glowing trees. They always, at night, emit a faint silver light, just like starlight. But every 400 years they glow one night so bright and in every color, and only then can the highest branch be broken and plucked into a regular tree, and this tree will then over the decades grow into another Arandur tree. This is how we created the grove of the glowing trees over the eons, when Mother Tiamat gave the Ezarin the sapling of the first Arandur tree and explained us how to multiply them. They were among the most precious things for both us Adala and Rin, for the Aranduri trees always sang a peaceful melody, ever the same but ever slightly changing, and that song is called the Aranduril. Now when I was born 420,000 Edanian years ago, we had just 12 of them, and now we have an entire grove of many hundreds. And tonight would be the race. That meant any Adala would race to the top, and the first there to breach the topmost branch to create a new gold glowing tree would be the winner of that race. Now, some of the younger new generations knew me only by name and fun mocked if I, just having returned into my body, would be up to the task. And they boasted about their agility and the many years they had trained for this. For here, no wings and no flying was allowed, only your arms and legs. Of course it was risky, so if you fell you could only save yourself with your wings, but you would be out of the race. I grinned. I had won 5 glowing tree races in the past, more than anyone else, and feeling so strong with my Adala body again, whose strength and agility is many times better than of any of humans, I said, I will show you young folk. You have no chance. And we all cheered and laughed, and then the race was on. Oh, it was such an exhilarating feeling, jumping, swimming, swinging all up to the Arandur tree, between the green leaves and the silver glowing ones, ever around us, more like this one. It was like climbing among the very stars. I was soon in the lead, and some of the more daring younglings tried risky moves to overtake me, but one by one they had to use wings not to fall and were out of the race. Still, with a few really strong climbers, I barely reached the top branch first and pulled it out. And it was a beautiful sight, the one you have hardly words for. The branches' leaves glowing in the colors of the rainbow, and many colors human eyes cannot see and have no words for. And then suddenly the Aranduri trees took up the colors, and the entire grove was shining bright in these colors, as it is all 400 years when a new glowing tree is made. And so I gave the branch to the elders, who ceremoniously put the branch onto a regular tree like a crown, and slowly the branch grew into the tree, and we all saw the transformation of the regular tree into the glowing Arandur tree beginning. And as we were sitting around the new glowing tree becoming, my father retold the well-known tale of how the Arandur tree came to Eastland. Long ago, when the world of Edan was different, the Rin and Ardala had not met, for the great mother of the Rin, Tiamat, had created her children far to the south in the now lost Gardenland. Then dwelt the Rin races for many eras, until the dream the Rin saw their mother show them the prophecy of a great calamity. The Maskim demons would crash down on Gardenland, and all there would perish, and the land would be destroyed in flame. She commanded them to march far to the north into the east land of Edan, and there find new home with the Ardala. All the Rin, one by one, left their beloved gardenland, but only the Ezarin loved the forest so dear they would not leave. Long did the Ezarin cry along with all the woodland spirits, fae and gnome, nymph and spirits, because they loved the gardenland so much. As it was said to be that its green hills and meadows, rivers and forests were the most beautiful green of all the worlds. Never thereafter any forest land was as the lost garden land. So their mother Tiamat shed a tear, and it fell into the garden land, a tear hard as the hardest rock, large so that 2 hands barely could grab it, and shimmering in all the colours. So the Ezarin built an ark and carried the seed with it to the Eastland as a gift to the Ardala in return for shelter and a new home. But when the Ezarin reached the sea, they had no ships, and they did not want to fell any beloved tree to cross the inner ocean. And so they sat clueless, but the trees said to them, "Fell us, for we shall burn anyway when the Muskim demons are cast down one day." And so it is said the Ezarin built the most beautiful ships to ever sail the inner ocean. Later on they brought some of the ships on the land, and the wood revitalized, and the trees grew again out of the ships, until the ships were entirely consumed by the landscape, looking like simple ship-formed hills, and only a few of the old Ezarin ships now remain to remind the people of their past. Now the Ezarin were given home in the great northern forest of Fan Rathen, and within it was a strange place. 2 rivers coming from the northern mountains were flowing together and then separating again, only to reunite with the great river leading west into the inner ocean. And through this existed a special space, a large green land surrounded by these rivers, and only simple grass and flowers grew there. And here the Ezarin, in the midst of a hill, they planted the tear seed of Mother Tiamat, and the first Arandur tree grew, and today he is the mightiest. Over the millennia, more and more Aranduri were planted there, and it is now known as the Grove of the Tree Song, or Aranduril, which translates as light of the trees who sing. And forever changing, and ever staying the same here, is their peaceful and wonderful song, the Aranduril. And both Ardala and Rin visited from time to time to remind them of their alliance and friendship. And alas, that is where I woke up to a very grim day.